Okay, so we're live and we're just waiting for friends and guests to come aboard.
Yes, where are all the people? We are letting the people.
Yeah, I just sent the group text. So
I heard it. I heard it make the noise.
It made the laugh.
So, wait. The AC is on, correct?
Yes, it's on. I just don't think it's working very well today.
It's definitely ain't over here.
Yeah, it's on. I just don't think it's working very well.
Something echoey.
Yeah, I have my phone on for a second.
We are talking into the future. Oh, actually, the past. Let's talk to the past. Ooh, talking to the past.
It's just a delay.
I made all kinds of progress.
Ooh. I can't wait to see the progress.
I even fixed the thing I messed up.
Oh, messing up's not good.
Won't prettify it, but I fixed what I messed up already.
Well, I mean, at least you fixed it, so. Okay.
All right. Okay. Oy. Let's see. We got contact cement. We got sander. I have all my parts.
Ooh, you got your parts.
We do these two things, and then we're on to paint.
Yeah.
Oh wait, except this. I need to make this hole as well. Do we have drill? Where is drill? The drill has bit, and bit will work. So we can make hole. We have drill. We will make hole.
You will make a hole?
Yeah, I gotta make a hole.
Okay.
Because I gotta make the spot for the other handle to go on. Who here? You here, Sewon?
Ooh.
Oh. Looks like guest is here.
Ooh, our guest
and
is
sideways.
Yeah. You got that? Because I have my hands full this second.
We'll let her know in a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we are close enough. Let's fucking just send this.
Okay. Oh, where do I see?
We are live. We are here. We have some things to do. So what we're gonna do? We have our guest is here. So we're gonna. What I'm gonna do real quick. So I'm gonna run you guys through the progress to where we are on the project, and then we will bring our guest up. So the chainsaw is here. Oh, the chainsaw is here. I did not put this one side on so that you guys can see. I have added the handle and supports that mount the blade. So now the blade is not floppy anymore. And we have glued on one side. This is I guess it's fixed. So the handle is actually two pieces that when Zachpool gets here, he would recognize these things. These are actually the foam that the new tip for the 3D printer came in. So I cut off a little bit of them, glued them together. There's a metal rod, and then I just filled it in with a piece of foam. And that makes my handle for me to hold it by. I'm going to be gluing the other side on, and then we're going to kind of clean up the edges. But since I have now told you guys what's up with that, we have a special guest today. So our guest today is from DragonsKiln Studio. She is the artist, and she is here to talk to us about making pottery. So let's bring on our guest. Ooh. Well, hello there.
Hi.
Yay! We don't have a soundboard. We're not that fancy.
All right.
Can you hear me? Is it working?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
we can.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, did you want to start off by telling us a little bit about your company and how you got started with clay?
Yeah, so I started doing ceramics when I was in college. It just was something that I tried out for the heck of it, and fell in love with it almost instantly, especially when I figured out that I could make dragons out of clay, because I've always loved dragons. And so then I ended up getting a degree in art with an emphasis in ceramics. And it was really just a hobby for a while. And then in 2019, I finally got together the resources to be able to start my own studio. Got my own kiln, and everything I needed for a glaze lab. Because it's hard to make enough quantities of pottery to sell and have a business when you don't have those resources yourself, unfortunately. And so yeah, I was living in Arkansas at the time. I apologize, my kitten has decided to come join us. This is Chamomile. Sit her down. Yeah, I was living in Arkansas at the time, got started with selling at Renaissance fairs, and then COVID happened, and I moved cross country twice and ended up on the West Coast here, where I've just kept, I go to Ren fairs and historical reenactment events and, Comic-Cons and things like that. Most of my pottery is dragons and other mythical creatures. Yeah, what else do you want to know?
All right. So, are you working on a piece right now there?
Yeah, I'm just starting a dragon right now. So it doesn't look like very much at the moment. But it's going to be one of the styles of dragons that I like to make is a dragon on its back with its paws up in the air like it's asking for a little belly rub, kind of like a cat,
I guess you
Yeah,
get
that's
the
fun.
inspiration for that one from your cats.
Yes. Yes, I like to think of dragons as scaly cats with wings. I think they would have very similar personalities.
So if they can breathe
So,
fire.
do you just do like the medieval style dragon, or do you do other cultures dragons as well?
So I mostly do a lot of. I do mostly a lot of European dragons. I do some Chinese dragons. They're kind of more complicated, so they take me longer. I haven't made one in a while, but I do enjoy making them. Yeah. And then just other mythical creatures as they, as inspiration strikes.
Yeah, I did. So I know you had, when we were talking at the show, you had that octopus that was aquarium safe.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
We talked a little bit about you had to go through quite a process to figure out what it took to get there.
Yeah, so I really love pieces that are. Yeah, I really love pieces that are kind of a challenge to construct. I have my basic dragons that I make all the time that, are the big sellers. But even when I was first starting out, I love testing the limits of clay and seeing how far I can push it, you know, because clay is something that has physical limits to it, and it will, you know, it'll break or collapse on itself or warp in the kiln. You know, so figuring out how to construct it so that it'll stay the way you make it when you fire it is a really fun challenge for me. So yeah, I made this large octopus teapot, and there were just a lot of really fun structural challenges in making that one.
So also, I know you had like the octopus head with the little tentacles sticking up out of the ground that was aquarium safe.
Yes.
And we had talked a little bit about the different processes you had to go through there to get to that. What does it take to make your ceramic safe for animals?
So it has to do with the different chemicals that are in the glaze. So there's certain chemicals that when even after they're fired, they will continue to leach. So you can't eat off of things that have those chemicals in the glaze. Like the most obvious one is lead, but there's other things like barium, some heavy metals that are just, you know, too dangerous. So it's the same standard. If you can't eat off of it, you shouldn't be putting it in your aquarium because it'll leach into the water and kill your fish. So yeah, I have some glazes that I know are aquarium safe because they're food safe, and then other ones that should not be put in the aquarium. And if somebody ever asks me, can this go in an aquarium, I'll always, you know, point out which ones are safe and which ones aren't, so they don't buy the wrong thing.
Babe, did you have some questions there?
Yeah, let me look at my notes because you guys seem to have covered most of my stuff. How did you get from going to just the Renaissance fairs and getting into going to Comic-Cons? Because they're similar, yet I know there's some differences. Like some people don't even consider going to a Comic-Con. So how did you make that jump?
I had somebody recommend it to me. The first one I went to actually was Rogue Comic-Con last year. I think that was only last year, so it was fairly recent change for me. But you know, I mean, nerds love dragons, so you know, I'm a huge nerd myself, and so a friend was like, "Have you ever considered trying out, you know, Comic-Cons?" Yeah, people loved my stuff there just as much as they do at Renaissance fairs. So.
A friend who does both. I think you might have heard of Sacramento Deadpool.
Of who?
He's gone to the ones in Sacramento Deadpool. He goes to the ones over in Reading because he's from Reading, so he goes over there.
Okay, I'm not familiar. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. But I was like, when he first said, I was like, oh, you're Renaissance. Okay. My only concern was he was going to be pretty sweaty in his suit, which I was right. So you said before it takes time and patience because some pieces don't cure well in the kiln. Like, is there a certain amount of time per amount of clay, or is it just a chance every time you put them in?
So there's kind of there's things that you can learn to do to make, you know, your pieces more likely to come out. Ceramics is an art form that requires you to learn a lot of patience and be willing to let things go. You know, you spend hours on a piece and then it explodes in the kiln, and you got to learn to just let that go and try again. There's a lot of different reasons that things can explode in the kiln. Air bubbles, water still trapped in it. They need to be completely dry. Sometimes, you know, you just didn't assemble your pieces well enough and they just crack apart and break. And sometimes those kinds of breaks can be fixable. You know, and then you also have the issues of just, you know, you put a glaze on it, and because of the way it fired, the glaze didn't come out the color that you wanted it to. So there's just a lot of trial and error. I know a lot of beginning potters can get so frustrated. I used to have tons of stuff blow up. You know, it was pretty much unheard of for me to open the kiln and not have something that had broken during the firing. And now, you know, I'm a lot better at it after, oh gosh, 13 years of this. You know, it's just a lot of practice and learning what works and what doesn't, and, you know, learning how to get your glazes to come out the color that you want them to. And yeah.
Okay. So you said it took you time to get the kiln. Like, can anyone realistically get one, or are they like you have to really save up to get one of those to get product?
They're fairly expensive. I got mine on eBay, used for $450, but it is a very old style kiln. The people I've had to do maintenance on it before have looked at it and gone, I've never seen a kiln in this style before, because it's a little funky, but it works for me. A new kiln in a decent size is going to run you at least $2,000, so it is an expensive place to start. It's good to look into like kiln sharing options. So I have several friends actually who I share kilns with. So like when you're working alone, sometimes it can be hard to get a full kiln load before you need to fire, especially if you have like a deadline. So we'll call each other up and say, I'm doing a firing and I have extra space, and they'll bring stuff over to fire in my kiln, and then they'll do the same for me. So having people that you can share kilns with helps. Generally a public studio isn't going to be very happy if you're trying to be a production potter and firing tons and tons of stuff in their kilns, unless you are like scheduling private firings where it's just your stuff. So finding people, you know, if you can't quite afford a kiln yet, finding a friend who has a kiln who's willing to help you out, then that can be a great place to start.
Cool. And then, cool. So I think Jeff touched on this, but I want to know if you can add on to it. What is your passion about dragons and like fantasy mythical creatures, of why that's the main thing you like to create?
Like why do I do that? Or
so those things.
Yeah, so I grew up in a family of nerds. My parents met playing D&D back in the 80s, and you know, I grew up on Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all of that stuff. And so, you know, even when I was a kid, like you hand me some Play-Doh and I'm probably going to make a dragon out of it, because it was just, you know, what I loved. I've always had this love for dragons and stories about dragons. And so, you know, it was really exciting when I found an art form that I really enjoyed, that I could make my own dragons. And, you know, sometimes it feels like, you know, taking the creatures in my head and bringing them to life so that other people can see them too, because I cannot draw, not things that are just in my head. Like if something's in front of me, I can kind of draw it, but yeah, it's just taking something out of my head and putting it on paper isn't something I've ever been able to do. But I can take something from my head and sculpt it in 3D out of clay. So
that's cool. Like you've been a nerd since birth, which is very cool.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
a lot of us were very like in the closet with our nerdom until we found our people.
Yeah, and I write as well. I write fantasy books frequently featuring dragons, and you know, even as a kid, I was writing stories about dragons. So,
oh, do you publish those too?
I'm not published yet. I'm actually, I am just finishing up a book that I'm like, it's the second draft of it that hopefully will be going out to potential publishers very soon. And, you know, getting very close. So.
All right. Well, hopefully that works out great. And then I know you said you can't draw, but I mean, if you were to team up with an artist, maybe you guys could collab and make it in one of them into a graphic novel or something too.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I know, like my son and all his kid friends at school, they are obsessed with dragons and they love graphic novels. And so one with dragons would like they'd go over the moon.
Have they read the Wings of Fire graphic novel series?
One of them has that I know of, and
Okay.
then there's a local illustrator out here who called Dragon Child. They make graphic novel, comic books, and stickers and stuff like that. And we've kind of exposed them to it, and they like it because like more dragon content. So they're eating it.
The world can always use more dragons.
Have you ever thought of doing like photos of your art and making like a coffee table book out of them?
No, I haven't really. Could be fun.
Yeah, we're just spitting off ideas.
Yeah. Maybe take the sculptures places and take pictures of them in nature.
Yeah, you can like write a little blurb about each one and like give them their backstory or something.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually have one. Oh.
About on average, how long does it take you to complete a piece? I mean, at least the clay, the molding part of it.
That varies widely. So like my basic dragons that I make, they average around an hour to make. If they're a little bit smaller, a little less, a little bit bigger, a little bit more time. But yeah, I average about an hour for most of them. And that is after, 6 years now that I've been making tons of these dragons in these styles. And so, you just learn how to do it faster after a while. It used to take me a lot longer. The other things I make, fairy houses and castles, like those will take longer because there's more things involved with them, and generally, more a little bit more freedom on the different details and everything. It's not like I'm remaking the same style of dragon over and over with like slightly different features. It's a more unique piece, so that takes more time. Things like the octopus teapot, that that I'm not even sure how long that took me. I should have kept track on that one, but it was quite a bit of work. And I've got pieces that have taken me like 10 plus hours to sculpt. So.
Okay, cool. It's like what Jeff's working on. He does it. This is like what, week 2 or week 3 you've started on this?
This is the third week of this process.
And you mainly work on it while we're on the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So
mostly, I got all the parts for this. I cut off the show, and then I did some gluing last night. So I probably have about 2-3 hours off screen into this, but just didn't want to make all our people sit here and watch me cut circles for 3 shows.
I get that. I have this really large vase that I made a few years ago that I did a time-lapse video while I was making it. And it's a very large coil vase, about like that tall. And I think I spent like a month on it. You know, obviously I wasn't working on it every day, but there were definitely stages of that I skipped over in the video of, you know, sitting there and making all of the coils over and over and over again. And so, you know, people weren't just staring at me doing the repetitive parts forever.
Yeah, because then they're like, when is it
Yeah,
gonna
when
get
you
in?
gotta do some of those. And when you got to do some of those things, you're making 70 of it. Even if you time lapse it at like 4x, it still takes like 30 seconds of you doing the same thing over and over and over. You know,
Yeah,
like,
the final video is. Yeah, I forget how much I sped up the final video, but it was still a 10-minute long video. Like that was the max that my computer would let me speed it up to.
That's when you just cut out all but like make like 3-4 rings and then speed that up and then skip the rest of the rings.
Yeah.
They don't need to see that. So with the clay you're working with, is it a water-based clay?
Yeah, so this is it's water-based. So this is a stoneware that fires to cone 6, which is a kind of mid-range firing. And it's a white clay that's designed for sculpting. So there's different consistencies of clay that are good for different things. And what makes this good is the grog in it. So grog is clay that has been fired and then ground up into sand and added back into the clay. And it makes it sturdier. And when you have a lot of like small pieces that are being added on and attached to each other, grog actually helps it stay together better. So generally when you're working with clay, if you are sculpting, you want to do a higher grog content. But if you are throwing like mugs or bowls on the wheel, then you're going to want to use something with a lower grog content, in large part because the grog will really rough up your hands, and it's very unpleasant feeling when it's on the wheel. So
it starts turning into like a sandpaper thing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
So the whole point of the grog is to basically give the clay something to bond to, so that it's bonding to, instead of just having to try to hold itself together, it has a medium in the middle to bond to.
Yeah, it makes it strong, and that's one of the things I love about clay, is that like technically there is no point in the process where you cannot start over. So even a finished piece, you can take it and you can grind it up. I mean, most people are not going to be grinding up their own grog, but you could, you know, and recycle it. So like even when you mess up, you know, like if you get a piece halfway done and you're like, this is just not what I'm thinking, you can just smash it and start over and recycle the clay and keep reusing it and everything.
What does it take to, is there any special requirements to keep the unprocessed clay, the raw clay?
Like to store it or anything?
Yeah.
You don't want to let it freeze. Freezing affects the kind of the molecular structure, how the mixture of the water and the clay. And so when clay freezes, it kind of turns to mush. And you can still use it, but it has to be recycled properly to get it back into a good consistency where it's usable. But other than that, you keep it in something airtight, and you know, clay will last a really long time if you're storing it properly. And I know there's some people who will open up a bag of clay and they'll see that there's mold on it, which is a common problem because you know, you have a dark, enclosed, wet environment, you're going to get mold. And people will be like, oh gosh, I can't use this, you know, but mold is actually, some people say it's good for your clay, and that it's better to work with moldy clay. I've heard pros and cons to it, but yeah, even if you get mold on your clay, you can still keep using it. So.
Would you cut it off and keep going with it, or do you mix it
Nope.
into the clay?
No, you just mix it in and keep working with it. There's some people say that when you have mold in your clay, that it burns off in the kiln and makes your pieces lighter. I don't know if that's true, but there's a lot of people who swear by that.
Yeah, I would think the only thing you'd want to watch is certain clay or certain molds are not the best for the human body to inhale. Right. What
was that? Sorry.
If it's wet, then you should be fine. I know certain molds aren't good for you to respiratory wise, but I'm sure if you wet it before you start kneading it in, you should be fine. That should keep most of the spores down.
Yeah, it doesn't generally become airborne because it is on the wet clay. You're going to have a much harder time with dry clay with just the dust getting into your lungs rather than worrying about the mold. That's a very serious concern with pottery. There's actually an entire disease called silicosis where that potters get in their lungs when they're older from inhaling clay dust too much, because clay is very high in silica, which is not good for your lungs.
So with the kilns, are they fire curing it, or is it like a heating element in there?
So my kiln is electric, which is a heating element. But there's a lot of different kinds of kilns. So there's also gas kilns, which are fired with propane gas. And then the other primary source is wood kilns, where you're literally, there's two sections of the kiln, and you're putting wood into the one section to burn, and that's heating up the other section, and then the ash also goes through it and creates glaze. Obviously, traditionally, wood was how people fired pottery for a very long time until we had propane gas to use. But there's still people who do wood firings. I got to do those in college. I was very lucky that my college had a wood kiln because they're pretty big and expensive to build. And they take multiple days of sitting next to the kiln, throwing more wood on as you're slowly bringing it up to temperature. You know, it takes a while to get a fire up to 2,300 degrees, and if you go too fast, then all of your pieces are going to break because they don't want to heat up that fast. But yeah. And then the type of firing that you're doing. What was that?
So when you fire clay, it's working on a gradient for temperature. You're starting at a low temperature, building to your final temperature.
Yeah, so like my kiln takes 6 to 8 hours to fire. You don't want to just go 0 to 2,000. Like I said, everything will break. So you're slowly building it up. And then different glazes are also impacted by your firing schedule. So like some glazes you might want to ramp up really slow and hold at specific temperatures. Some glazes want to go faster. Some you have to like heat them up to a certain part, then bring it down like 100 degrees and hold it there for a while. Like there's all sorts of fancy stuff. Most of my glazes are pretty basic. And then the other thing that affects glazes is whether you're doing we call it oxidation or reduction. So obviously with an oxidation firing, you have oxygen in the atmosphere. So an electric kiln is always going to be oxidation. And then a gas or wood kiln, depending on how you're doing it, you can have reduction or oxidation. And so like if you were to take a glaze and fire it in an electric kiln at oxidation, and then take it and fire it in a gas kiln in reduction, you're going to get two completely different results because of the different chemical reaction that's happening, whether or not there's oxygen in the atmosphere.
Wow. I knew none of this before, so I'm just listening.
So
and it
do
makes
some of the glazes have to cook at different temperatures?
Yeah, so there's a wide range of temperatures. So we measure glazes in cones, is what we call them. And the reason for that, I don't have any nearby right now. They're all out in the shed, but we have these little they're called pyrometric cones. They're about this big, and they're designed to melt at very specific temperatures. So as they heat up, they start going like this, and when it's about halfway down, you know that you are at the temperature that that cone is designed for. So cones range from, the lowest ones are probably around 1,500 degrees, all the way up to almost 2,400 degrees. So I fire at cone 6, which is about 2,100. And then if you have a glaze that's designed for cone 6, 2,100 degrees, and then you fire it to cone 10 at like 2,300 degrees, your glaze is going to completely melt and run off of your piece and destroy your kiln. So you have to make sure that you're putting it in the right temperature for that glaze.
We have something similar to what you're talking about in welding, because we have, we call them hot crayons. And it literally, it's a like crayon, but it will only melt at certain temperatures, so that certain metals have to be heated to a certain temperature and then cool, or before you go weld on them. So you just, if you wipe the crayon across and it looks like a normal crayon, once you heat it to a point and it melts on there, you're at temperature. That way you don't have to sit there and go back and forth when your heat gun is your
similar concept.
Because that would just take forever.
Yeah, I love thinking about the technology and like how they would have developed those and how precise it has to be to have something that will melt at such a precise temperature. Like often cones are only about 10 degrees apart in the temperature that they melt at, which is so precise when you think about it.
Yeah. Do they have a tolerance within them?
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, say this one's set for 2,300, give or take 2 degrees, type thing.
Yeah. So, like I said, it starts to melt about like probably 20 degrees before it's actually at temperature. So, like I said, you have this cone that's sitting like this, and the tip of it will start to bend down, and so that's when you know you're getting close. And generally, you'll actually put 3 in. So you put 1 for the cone below what you want, the cone that you want, and then the cone above. And so when the cone you want is like halfway down and the cone above is like just barely starting to bend, then you know you're at the right temperature.
Okay, so you're basically kind of putting an overload, and you're getting close on there as well. Yeah.
And then if you keep going past that, they'll just, turn to liquid entirely. You go far enough past it.
So I know a lot of the glazes are made with metals and stuff like that. Does that come with metal fumes coming off as you cook them, or does it not for the most part kind of bake into it?
Yeah, so kilns do in fact give off fumes, which is why you can't just put them in your house. You can if the walls are insulated properly and you have a good vent system. I generally put my kiln out in a shed or a garage where I can open up the door and set up a fan, because those vent systems can get pretty expensive. But yes, they will put off fumes. It's not quite as bad as sitting in your garage with your car running when the door is closed. But you generally don't want to be in a room with a kiln running that doesn't have a vent going. Yeah. And then the fun thing about that is that the kiln bricks will absorb the chemicals. from the clay. And so then even if you fired it completely empty, it would still continue to put off fumes because the chemicals are now in the kiln brick and they're releasing it every single time it heats up, whether or not there's actually pottery in there. So whatever people say, do not make pizza in a kiln.
Yeah, I know with like the foam latex that they used to make all the props out of, the old Ninja Turtles and the Gremlins and all that stuff. That would actually leach out ammonia into the ovens they'd bake it into.
Oh,
so once you use that, those things are just for that. You cannot put food back into that.
Yeah, well, it's the same way with glass kilns versus pottery kilns, because technically, glass fires at a lower temperature, and technically you could use a pottery kiln to fire glass, but because of the chemicals in the pottery, once a kiln has been used for pottery, you cannot use it for glass because it will damage the glass that you're making when it releases those fumes.
It's interesting.
But you can go the other way because glass doesn't have the same effect. So you could use it for glass first and then use it for pottery.
The glass is mostly neutral size silica.
Yeah.
So let's see. So how far are you with your project there?
Well, getting there. It's got some legs and part of a face. Working on just the little details now, which are kind of the most time-consuming part. Yeah.
I know we were talking about that teapot earlier, and I know when we talked before, you said that two of the tentacles come together to make the spout. Has there been any other big projects like that you've made that really challenged you?
Well, I did make at one point an assassin's teapot. I don't know if you've seen the videos of those where it's got two chambers in it and there's like these holes that you cover and it prevents the liquid from one chamber pouring out. And so you can, like the idea is you can put poison in one and then you pour out of the teapot and it looks like you're drinking the same tea and you can poison someone without them realizing it. So I had somebody commission me to make one of those, and that was a fun little project. Very, very tricky to get the physics of that one right. And then, what else have I done?
Vacuum. Yeah, those things work with vacuum, correct? They work off of a vacuum, so basically by your thumb being back there, it doesn't allow air in, therefore it cannot let the liquid out because it's
the tricky part of that is that the spout has to be very, very narrow to make sure that no air is escaping back up the spout. And yeah, it gets tricky because my first attempt did not work properly. Let's just put it that way. But it was fun. And then I've also spent some time working on recreating Peruvian whistle vessels. I don't know if you're familiar with those at all. So a Peruvian whistle vessel is this jug that has two chambers in it, and there is a tube in between them, and then you have a spout over here, and then on over here there's generally like some kind of animal figure on it, and underneath that is a whistle. And so you pour water in the one side, and then when it's about halfway full, when you tilt it, the water forces the air out through the whistle and makes it chirp. So that's another fun project. I haven't worked on that one in a bit. I have a few that were kind of semi-successful, but I could do better. They make noise, but not as much noise as I was hoping.
Are there a certain note that it's supposed to be trying to get to?
No. So there's just you know, it's whatever note that the whistle makes. It's just that getting the physics right of enough force from the water that it's pushing the air out fast enough to get a really good sound from it, which was a lot harder than I expected. And the problem with it is you can't test it before you fire it. So you can test the whistle to make sure that the whistle is making sound. And you can like blow into the other spout to make sure that it's still, you know, whistling, and that all the passages are clear and everything. But until it's fired, you can't actually put water inside of it to see if it's going to, you know, chirp in the way that they're supposed to. I highly recommend you look up Peruvian whistle vessels. They're a very cool thing. There's several artists that make them that are just you know, absolute experts at it, and you would not believe how loud the sounds on these jugs are. But I did manage to make one. It was completely an accident. It is shaped like a jaguar, and it purrs like a cat. I don't know how I managed to get it to purr, but it's fun. So I should have had that one ready to show you.
So is it a matter of getting enough water through to push the air, but not so much that you leave an air gap for air to backfeed? That's the balance that you're trying to get to?
No, actually, it's the air bubbling back that makes the chirping sound. So if it was pushing it out, like if the air was escaping the whistle at the same speed that the water was coming in, then you would get a steady sound. But because the whistle is so small, the air can't fully escape through it at the same speed as the water rushing in. And so the air bubbles back to the other side, and that's what interrupts the sounds and creates a chirping sound.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Look this up later. That sounds cool. So, did you have a question there, Beth?
Yeah, I was wondering, how often do you get commissions? Like, is it a regular thing or just once in a while?
Not very often. It also kind of varies. In the summer, when I'm doing more events, I tend to get more commissions. But yeah, mostly I'm just, you know, making my same stuff. And every so often, someone's like, "Could you make like this specific thing?" Yeah. I actually have one right now that I should probably be working on, but that's okay.
We all do that. We all know what we're supposed to be doing, but we'd rather go off on this side quest and do that.
Yeah. Side quest. That's a good way of thinking of it.
I mean, I have one sitting in the car that I need to ship off.
Yeah, you do.
But
It's like I have a lot of emails to answer.
so, yeah, those are boring. When you get commissions, do you give them like parameters that you can work within, or is it or if someone asks for something that's not within your normal style of clay work, do you just kind of try to make it work?
It depends on the commission. Generally, when people are commissioning me, it's because they like my style and they just have a specific thing they want in my style. So I'll spend a lot of time talking with them about what specifically they're looking for, and trying to figure out a good design that meets their wishes. You know, like somebody might look at my teapots that are shaped like creatures, and they'll be like, I want a teapot specifically of this kind of creature that maybe I don't normally make. So like that, I get that fairly often. Or, you know, they'll want like, oh gosh, what kind of commissions have I gotten? Like right now I have somebody who wants, are you familiar with those coffee pour over things? where you put it's like this bowl shaped thing that sits on top of your coffee mug, and you put the coffee filter and grounds in it, and then pour the water, and it drips through. So I had somebody who wanted one of those with like my style of dragons on it, basically. Yeah, if somebody has a commission that is like just absolutely way out there, you know, nothing like what I make, completely different style is what they're thinking, then I'll generally point them towards a artist who, you know, is more what they're looking for.
Okay. Well, we are getting towards the end here. So do you have any shows you're going to be at soon coming up?
Let's see. The next one I'm doing is in November. We're kind of coming to the end of my busy season. I'm going to be doing Dyrebrook Fantasy Fair up in Portland, and that is the second weekend of November. So that's like a dark fantasy convention.
Alrighty. If someone wanted to commission you for a piece, is there a certain place they should reach out to contact you?
Facebook or Instagram is just at DragonsKiln Studio. And yeah, just message me on there.
And I will put
All right.
those
Well,
in the chat.
we had a great time talking to you. Do you want to show us one last look at what you got done today?
Yeah, it's almost done. Still needs some wings and a few other details, but yeah, little dragon friend.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, and it was great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye. So real quick, I'm going to I got through a couple things on this project. So come on, camera. There we are. We got this side glued on, so now we have the full saw is in one piece here. I sanded down all my edges to blend all that in, and then the other thing we got done is we got this hole here now. This hole will be for a piece of PVC pipe that's going to come out, come up, and across, and that is the second hand grip for the chainsaw. And then there's also another one I need to make up that will go here. Kind of like a bar handle. It looks kind of like a spatula. But so far, I'll pull that out. This is what we have. So it is a chainsaw now, chainsaw hand. We're just at the point where we are adding in all the little detail pieces. And then we can get some paint on it. So that is the basis of how we would make something like that. So if you guys have any questions on something like this, feel free to message us. Most of you guys are on our Instagram and our Facebook. So with that being said, I will throw it over to you.
To me.
Yep.
Oh yes, because we didn't think there was a lot going on this month, but apparently there is. Just like this Saturday, if you guys were listening to Distance Learning yesterday, they're gonna be at the County Fairgrounds in Madera for World of Cosplay. And Distance Learning is gonna be helping out with the cosplay contest, doing trivia, and I think helping Cindy Rue host. I'm not fully clear on that, but they will be there. And think, Jeff, you're going to be there? We're not.
I will be there.
Huh?
Yes, I will be there.
Okay, so Jeff will be there if you want to go see him and say hey down there. Enter in the cosplay contest. There's going to be up to $500 worth in cash prizes for first, second, and third place for this contest. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be no holds barred on top tier cosplays if there's a lot of money involved. So that's this Saturday.
And then, of course, Phil will be giving away lots of prizes with his trivia and stuff as well.
Yeah, he'll be giving away a bunch of. Probably, I'm betting he's gonna get a lot of Funko Pops away, just based on what he gets given a lot of the time. But also, there's also Anime Fan and Fitness. That is, I can't remember where it's at, but it's happening. It's going on. I do believe it's both. It's a 2-day convention. I do believe it is down Madera, Fresno, Clovis area. So if you want to go to World of Cosplay one day and then go to Anime Fan Fitness the next day, there you go. And then,
I know with the fitness one, they're supposed to be having like anime themed workouts and stuff like that.
That's interesting to see, but we'll see. The following weekend after that, the 13th, 14th, is Anime Fresno Comic-Con. And that's going to be all kinds of different cosplays and stuff like that going on there. A bunch of anime. And it's in Fresno. I didn't realize Fresno's getting out there and having a lot of stuff going on. So you guys, Fresno's getting in on the Comic-Con stuff. And then, of course, the weekend after that is Anna Metford, where we know Distance Learning is going to be there. And also, Distance Learning and us are splitting that weekend because Phil, Jeff, and Tyler will all be in Medford. I myself, as a member of SAC Geeks, will be down here with James for CrockerCon, which is on that Sunday. So James will be hosting panels. I'll be helping out at the SAC Geek table. We're going to be doing hosting, and we're going to do a cosplay masquerade. So if you guys are interested in that, come by. It's free. It's family friendly. It's from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. So if you don't have to worry about kids and school and all that, it's a good thing. And also on Saturday before that, SAC Geeks is hosting their annual film festival challenge. And if you go to the Instagram page for SAC Geeks, there will be a link to buy tickets. So if you guys buy your tickets, you get in for all the festivities. We have special speakers. You get to see a bunch of cool indie films, and there's so much live entertainment and stuff going to be there. You guys should really go there and support that. And then the weekend after that, for the locals, there's this free anime fest going on. I just discovered it like today, so I put it up here so you guys can learn all about that too. And it's so small, I can't read it.
September 26th, 6 to 9 p.m. Cosplay something another.
Sorry, hit the wrong button.
Oh
yeah, it's cosplay contest, local vendors, free food for the first 50 or 30. So free food for a certain amount of kids. But yeah, I thought this looked interesting. I thought I'd tell you guys about it. But we aren't going to be there because we will be at LA Comic-Con that same weekend with none other than Distance Learning and all their buddies that we know too. So it's going to be a big group thing, a fun experience for Jeff and I. We're just going to stay home because school. So it's gonna like that's September is a lot, and then I didn't realize there's so much more. There's a lot going on in October in like one weekend. I found out.
All right.
Yeah, there is a shit ton.
Okay. Well, we still have another about half hour. So, let's use this pipe, and I will test fit some stuff.
What are you gonna do?
We're gonna test fit some stuff. We're play with some of our We're gonna play with some stuff here and see what we can do about dry fitting stuff and see what we're gonna need for supplies.
Ooh, you guys get to be the testers with us.
I am looking at probably doing like a 90 with a cap right here, which would kind of tighten that up a little bit. And then that would put us going up. And then put a piece of pipe there. Another 90. Give the pipe here. And then debating on a cap or a 90 and then a cap. Let's see. This is on this hand. I see the perfect person in the chat to ask this question. Graveyard.
Is he in the
So the
chat?
handle going across the top. Should that 90 down or just cap off?
Oh, Grave, you got to answer the question. Let's see. Will he answer? I think he's thinking about it.
He says he's sending me something. So let me look at my.
Oh, like via your phone?
I'm guessing. The YouTube chat don't really let you. So it'd be something like right there. This is for the front handle, not the
So
like
let me send
back
you.
handle.
Yeah, you have your phone on you for when he sends that?
It's right here.
Okay. My phone's
Got
acting
the
up.
birds on it. So, speaking of Graveyard, why we wait to see what he has to say? Graveyard has a show coming on in about an hour.
Yeah, let me put his link in the
so,
chat.
So you guys should definitely check that out when you guys are when we're done here. Whoop, there he goes. Oh, so he sent me a picture, a couple pictures of what looks to be like a nicer prop version of it.
Oh, we can't see. There's too much glare.
Yeah, you kind of see it.
Yeah,
But you see the general idea. It's a nicer prop there. Has a little bit shorter blade. So I did simplify this down quite a bit because to make it blend in with the anime. The way this is showing it, the blade comes out with a 90, comes up, and then has a little short 90 up here that's just a side handle. And then there's flat
that
handles.
is the official prop Army of Darkness version.
Okay. Because I was running off. I guess this one is similar to that. So this one shows it very similar. So I was running off this image before that I found online. So that looks like the answer be like a short hoop handle on that side. Also, I think I so. Did he have it on his right hand? I thought he had it on his left hand. Huh?
Does that mean you're changing stuff up?
No, it's still about the same. They pop out here and go like that, and then the other handle's here. Because that would make sense, because then he holds it like this.
Yeah, Graves said yes, right-handed.
The only downside of that is that makes it harder when I'm at a con to touch anything. Then I have to work left-handed, and I am not left-handed. So, but okay, so what we'll do is we'll go cap, maybe a washer on the inside to give me something to glue in there, and then bring that out with a 90 on it. Bring it up. And then just put another 90 on there with a cap. The short is a little piece of pipe in there to connect them together. And that should give us the right look. So we need two 90s and 2 caps. Almost looks like it might want a 45. No, those are 90s. Just has to stem out a little bit because the handle needs to be out here. Okay. That is easy enough to do. We can do that. But actually, yeah, you can do it. So that is what we will do.
Do it.
We will get not this piece. This is, I do believe, part of Rectar. But yeah, that's what we will end up doing. I will get the stuff together for next week, and we will wrap up the build process for this, and then I will get it primed up as well, so that we could possibly do some paint. But this will stand up like that, and a little 90 over here, a little 90 there, and we'll have our handle.
Now that's a hammer.
And then we will have the first prop for our Ash Ketchum and the Evil Dead costume. All right, so 633. What else? How to make this piece though? That's the hard one, because it's like it's supposed to, the way it is on the even on the prop that he sent me. It's like a little flat tab on here, then it comes up, and it kind of arches with the thing, and then comes down and has a little flat tab with a screw on both sides.
Sounds like it's something you have to ponder.
So my original thought was I was going to try to find a piece of plastic, but I don't know that that would be big enough to look right. Unless I use, that might work. Piece of acrylic. I have some acrylic out back that I could cut. That's what here. Plexiglass.
Huh?
Just a piece of plexiglass, and because plexiglass, if you heat it, you can bend it. And then I can just kind of drill holes through it, and I'll use the pain in the butt screws to screw it on. The ones that I used for the yellow box that look really pretty. such a pain in the butt to put together.
The yellow
So that I
box.
don't have any sharp edges on the inside to hurt my hand. And then we'll have to figure. I'll make a foam piece for the top and bottom there, and then we'll put a couple of those same screws through there with some washers on there to hold it down, and I think that might give us our look. Because, like Adam Savage says, you are, yeah, that's it. The most important part of getting a prop right, or even a costume, or whatever you are building, getting it right, it's getting the silhouette. You should be able to know what it is supposed to be. So if you get the silhouette right, everything else, it goes all the way back to Pokemon. Who's that Pokemon? All they show you is the silhouette, showing how identifiable their marketing is. But with this thing being done, does anyone out there have any suggestions on how we should Pokemon up our boomstick? I've had a couple ideas. I was thinking maybe adding like a little charm off the back of it, like a little Pikachu charm or something.
And if you guys are watching this after the live, just put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Or message us on the socials. Email us.
So
Grave. Pokeball grill on the side. Aren't you going to do something like that?
It's right there. Pokeball girl is on the side right there.
Okay.
So, but for the boomstick is where we're at this point. One thing I did think of is I kind of want to, the catchphrase for Pokemon, gotta catch them all. I was thinking about carving into it, like just like you would with a knife, carve into wood, and put gotta kill them all.
You did say something like that before.
Then we're gonna have our Eevee hanging off of here at some point, and then we have our boomstick, and then I plan on getting some Pokeballs for it as well. So what I'm thinking is I'll have this on one side. I'll have the boomstick on the back. I was thinking maybe carve in something like the gotta kill them all, and then on the buttstock put like a little like tassel dangler on there, and just put some Pokemon charms on there. You know, like the ones you'd put on like a phone or something. And then the Pokedex, I already know what I want to do for that. There's a very important book in the world of Ash and the Evil Dead that has a face on the cover, and it is supposed to, they actually just did something on it on Test It. Adam Savage was there with the original creator. So couple things I found out from that is things that we will be using is the original one is latex wrapped around a book or wrapped around cardboard, and then they put the book pages in it. So what I want to do is I want to make a Pokedex. I'm probably going to 3D print up a Pokedex, and then I want to wrap that in the Necrocon skin. And then when it opens up, I'm going to put Tangela in there because we are turning Bruce into Tangela. I have bought way too many pool noodles already.
So you have to do it just to use the noodles.
We have 30 pool noodles sitting in the living room. So we're going to do a Necrocom Pokedex. And then when you open it up, it'll be a more docile color set. It was like a light gray before on the end, or it was a little red and like a light gray on the inside. And I think what I'm going to do is do a slightly darker gray in there, and then add like little specks of blood on it, and like the black washes and the cracks and stuff like that, so that we can get that. As far as costuming, I'm going to have the Ash Ketchum gloves, and the Ash Ketchum hat, and the Ash Ketchum vest. Gotta go up the blue jeans for Ash Williams. And I'm thinking the undershirt, I might do a shredded up blue button up for Ash Williams as well. Like just the blood on the shirt, and then I'm going to add some blood to the vest as well. And we will, so that we can have the flow. It all looks like it's one. Do the blue Ash Williams shirt with it rolled up, this rolled up sleeve on one side and the shred it on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I'm just going to use whatever black shoes I have, because I almost always have a pair of black skate shoes floating around. Ash just had nondescript black tennis shoes, Ash Ketchum, and Ash William wears like loafers, black loafers.
So either way, a black shoe.
Yeah, both wearing a black shoe. A loafer sounds horrible to walk around a con in all day. That sounds god awful to my feet. I already torture myself when I'm Sid and wear those freaking cheap wannabe Converse.
Yeah.
That just have no cushioning. So I think I might just run whatever all black skate shoe I have at the moment. Because I almost always have a pair of all black skate shoes.
Yes, you do.
I'm wearing all black skate shoes right now.
I am not wearing anything. I took my socks off.
I have to have shoes. It's part of the ADD.
Huh?
I take off the shoes. I turn off the brain, and we need the brain to keep going for this.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm like that too, but it's with the bra. When I take the bra off, I'm done. So I still have that on. I know it's TMI, but still, that's my thing.
Yeah. So we have right about 10 more minutes here. Is there anything you're looking forward to at any of these shows, babe?
These upcoming ones for this month?
Yeah. Any guest you're in particular looking forward to?
I guess. I mean, they haven't announced it, but I'm really hoping Amy Jo Johnson does show up to LA Comic-Con. I would just love that.
I know one person that's not going to, and that's Rob Paulson, because I saw he is in another state that weekend. Fun. I mean, they had him last year anyway, so that would kind of make sense that they wouldn't have him again. But I know there is a bunch of people that you're looking forward to soon over at PhantomCon.
Yeah, that's in November. We're in September.
Yeah, I know that's next month. But you want to talk about some of the people you're looking forward to there?
Just about anyone that's from Mighty Morphin. Like, I don't remember everyone's real name. So Goldar's going to be there. Zordon, Bulk and Skull. those are the ones that I'm excited to see that I have not met yet. There's Steve Cardenas is going to be there. Walter Jones is going to be there. Asta St. John. I can't remember her name right now, but the girl who played Aisha, she's going to be there for Mighty Morphin. I think that's all from Mighty Morphin that's there. That's going to be there that I'm excited about. I'm still trying to convince my cousin to go.
And you're dressing up for that one, right?
Yeah, I want to wear my pink ranger because I don't think I'll get my Ninjetti in time, which is fine because I'd rather save the Ninjetti for next year when we get to Power Morphicon.
So right up here, you can kind of see next to the Red Ranger helmet, Bruce just got the Red Ranger Power Sword. He will be there in a Red Ranger costume.
Yeah. He's excited for that. And lucky for him, the Monday after, he doesn't have school.
Oh, that's lovely for him.
I know, but we still got to go to work.
Does anyone out there have any cons they're excited for? Because I know, LA Comic Con is going to have like Vincent D'Onofrio is supposed to be there. He's been around forever, but his real big thing right now is he was Kingpin in the Marvel universe. Fan Expo. So that's the one in
San Francisco after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we may or may not end up there. We're waiting to find out on some stuff.
Yeah.
But I know the one Bruce really wants to be there because the dog that was Dogpool supposed to be there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if we got that opportunity and got to meet Dogpool. That'd be cool.
If we get to do that, we definitely have to Deadpool up and see if we can't get a picture with Dogpool.
Yeah.
As many Wades as we can be.
And
Wanda's.
Huh?
And Wanda's.
Yeah. But if our way in goes, that means we'll probably talk about Frank will need a Dogpool outfit.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Could put it into action now that Frank needs one because it's going to happen.
So I know we talked about it yesterday, but last weekend we were over at Sac Anime, and we did get to see some of our friends, and we busted out BMO. BMO got a nice fresh paint job. Me and Bruce put him up on the table and gave him a nice fresh paint job. Touched up all his bings and bangs. Was there any like extra highlights there for you?
Huh?
Were there any extra highlights at Sac Anime for you?
Extra highlights?
Yeah, things that you didn't get out last night that you really were excited to see there.
Nah.
I know for me, I got to reconnect with a couple of people that we had talked to previously, and hopefully we'll be able to get them on the show soon. So that's was really good for me.
Yeah, because to me, it's like a friend hangout for the most part when we go to Sac Anime. We just hang out and go visit people we know because half of them end up being stationed at a table or something.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us. We're going to let it a little bit early here. Definitely go check out Graveyard. It is still over here in
Yeah, it's in the chat.
So definitely go check out Graveyard. He's on in about 10 minutes. And remember, everyone, be a maker, not a hater. Bye.
Also, shout out to